Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. So it is Sunday, it is Monday when you see this, but a new episode of The Last of Us has come out. So let's talk about it as we always do every weekend. Ignore that, I don't know, my posters are slowly falling one by one, I don't know why. This week's episode was Left Behind. So if you guys don't know, that is the DLC for The Last of Us. So it's basically a DLC is downloadable content that it was available after the main game of The Last of Us came out. So it was basically about how Ellie got bitten and who is this mysterious friend that Ellie brought up at the end of the game. I remember I've seen gameplay of the DLC and then I got to play it on my own. If you guys want to see it, it's going to be linked down below. But yes, so in that episode, it was very interesting because I wondered how they would do it, because in the video game they go back and forth from Ellie trying to find supplies for Joel to Ellie and Riley's story, and I thought that that's how the episode would have gone, but actually it didn't go that way. We started with Joel telling Ellie, you have to leave, you go back to Tommy will take you to the Fireflies, leave me, I'm gonna die here, like you can't do anything about this, I'm not savable. And so and then it goes to Ellie going straight to the door to leave, and then she has like this moment of like hesitation, like should I leave him or should I not? And then that's where we end up. And then it goes to a flashback. We see her in her Fedra training days, and we didn't really see that at all, like in the game, or in both the games we don't really see that. We've only like heard her that she's a Fedra student, she does military drills and all that stuff. So like that's all we know from the video game players. But we actually kind of see it where we see her with a group of kids and they are running laps. And then you see her just get into a little tussle with some girl who looks a lot like Abby. And I think they did that on purpose, where they have like some girl who looks just like Abby who's picking on her, and then she just beats her up, which I thought that was funny. And then we cut to the next scene where one of her like supervisors is talking to her, and he's like telling her like, you shouldn't be like this because then you're gonna end up like these people. I want you to be a leader. Like being there, you're not a leader. You're not like being in those places, you're not gonna be a leader. You're gonna be like working and like picking up people's shit and working under people, basically like that the Abby girl. She's not Abby, but she looks like Abby. I feel like that's where Ellie's mindset changes, where she's like, I can be better than these people, So like that's what I like that scene a lot. And then cut to Ellie's in her room, she's reading her Savage Starlight comics, because what else are you gonna do in a global apocalypse pandemic type of situation? There's no internet, you can't really do much. So I thought that was an interesting thing to see, and there's not much. Then we also get a glimpse at her room. So in the game it was like a small little tiny room, and then it's like bunk beds, and like Ellie barely has any space for anything. But in this one, it's like it's a bigger room. Ellie has her own corner. Then you see that there's an empty corner, and it's like assuming that is like Riley's place, or like her room. So like showcasing that, her and Riley were close, like, they were roommates, they were friends. And even when she had that little tussle, like I said, with that girl, she's just like, you don't have like you don't fight, your friends fight for you, like, your friends defend you, like you can't even defend yourself. So it just goes to show that Ellie and Riley were really close, because I think in the video game, Ellie doesn't have a roommate at all. Like the top bunk is just no one's there. And then Riley complains, like she's like, how do you have no one and I had to like stay with a bunch of people? But I thought that was like really that was really interesting that they were instead roommates. They were roommates. They were roommates. Holy shit. No, that's a in Twitter joke. If you don't know it, then I'm sorry, a Twitter Tumblr joke. But yeah, so anyways, so then Riley sneaks up on her, and then she's like, we're going, and Ellie's like, no, we're not, like I can't go, what the heck are you talking about, like this is dumb, this is ridiculous. And then she's like, no, we're going, like I can get past Fedra, no problem. And then Ellie's like, okay, whatever. A lot of things did change, like they don't go through like houses, they actually go through the roof, which I thought that was very fun, like to see them just jump over roofs. Like it's very like, you're just like, huh? Like personally I would be scared to jump over roofs, but they're kids and they've done military drills, so I don't think they're scared. When they like have that conversation where it's like where have you been, like what are we doing, I did like, or they did bring back the fact that Riley knows Marlene and Ellie doesn't. Like, I think a lot of people were mad that Ellie didn't know Marlene, but I think it's more interesting that way, that that she doesn't know Marlene. Like, I get that in the game Marlene has like feels more sad because, or like in the end choices, because she's known Ellie her whole life. But I mean, that could still work where she's like, I know Ellie, but then it could also be colder where she's like, I don't know her and I don't care. But who knows? Who knows? There's one thing in the game that they kind of changed, but in the game when they're in the mall, they find someone's alcohol, like some dude that they knew, and then they drink it. Actually, you have a choice whether to drink it or not. I never made like Ellie drink it. I don't know. I feel bad because she does drink alcohol in the show, and I'm like, oh, is that like the correct decision to choose? But I don't know. The mall sequence. This was the cutest sequence in the whole world. I really liked that Riley was like, you go and see this, instead of like in the game they go together and then she sees the lights. But I like that she goes into it and then you just see the lights like just go pew, pew, pew. Like, I thought that was really cool, like, to see, and then just to see Ellie's reaction. Like, you know, they never had this before. She probably didn't even know what like these kind of like neon lights even look like. You know, like seeing all that in a mall, like that's so mundane to us, but that's just like so out of this world for them. So I thought that was like really cute to see, and I really like that in this like episode, you know, we got to see Ellie just be a kid. Like, that's it. Like, that's literally like the whole review. Like, I really like to just see Ellie be a kid, because, you know, in like these past episodes, Ellie had to act more adult and, you know, have these more adult feelings. Like, you know, she's not able to be a kid. You can't be a kid in those conditions. But in this moment when they're together in the mall, they are children. They get to be children for like a couple hours. And I thought that was so cute. And it's just so nice because, you know, for a second you don't feel that constant threat of like, oh, there could be a zombie for wherever they go, wherever they're going, whatever they're doing. And, you know, there isn't that threat until later in the story, until later in the episode. But, you know, for now, we get to see them just be kids. And I really like when, you know, she's discovering an escalator for the first time. And then you just hear "Take on Me." And if you're a video game player, you know exactly what they were insinuating with that. And it hurts 100 times more. I really did like, at first I was like, what are they doing with this? But then I realized what they were doing with it is when they're like in front of Victoria's Secret and they're like, why would women wear this? And then like, they're like, well, we know why, but like, why? And then Riley's like, I just imagine like you wearing it. And like, Ellie's like, ew, like what the heck? And then there's that moment where she like looks at herself, like, or she looks at the clothes and then she looks at herself and she's like, you know, like she's just like, oh, like, maybe Riley likes me, and, you know, I'm, you know, let me look good really quick, you know? Like, I thought that was really cute where she's like, oh, maybe like I should look better, like, you know, when you realize someone likes you and you're like, oh, like, do I look good right now? Like, what the, like, you know, like I really like that was that moment of Ellie going like, ooh, let me just fix my hair really quick, or like make sure, like, you know, there's nothing wrong with me right now, you know? Like, I don't know. I think if you're I mean, maybe it goes both ways, but personally, like, if I've had that, like, kind of thing where, like, someone's kind of, like, flirting with me, I'm like, oh, shoot, like, what do I look like right now? Like, I don't know, maybe that was a thing that I could totally relate to, where I was like, wait, what do I look like right now? Like, do I look, like, good enough for them right now? And so, like, I think that's what Ellie felt in that moment. And then we had a little, like, carousel moment, and I really like that in this one, they actually had the chance to write it together, because in the game, Riley watches Ellie go on the carousel, and they don't really have that moment to, like, you know, be all in love together. And so I like that they were able to do that in this in this story. And then we go straight to the arcade. Oh my god, the arcade sequence was so good in the game, like, because the game doesn't work, and in the video game the game doesn't work. So Riley tells Ellie to close her eyes, and then she makes, like, you imagine it, and then you just see, like, Ellie's, like, face, and then there's just, like, shoot, like, you know, like, sparks flying, and then, like, the colors changing, and then you can imagine it as the player. They've done that twice in The Last of Us, once for the DLC, and then once in part 2, but once we get to the show part 2, we could talk about that. Or you could watch my gameplay on it. I really loved that part in the game, but I can see why they didn't want to do that for the show, because it would just look a little ridiculous, you know? Like, in a video game, it works. But in live action, it doesn't work, so I like that. Instead, they got to play the game. And it was so nice to just see them be kids. Like I said, it was so nice to just see them be kids and, like, you know, have fun playing this game and then being excited when, you know, both of them got to, like, win in the end. And so I like that. Oh, wait, that actually makes me really sad that they both, like, got to win in the game in the end. Oh. Anyway, I was just like, wait a second, hold on. That makes me a little sad. So in this sequence, like, we cut to, so this is a little, like, Easter egg in the video game. So because in Left Behind DLC, like I said, it cuts back to Ellie then and then Ellie now, where we are in the story. So there's a point in the game where you have to go into an American Apparel store, and there's, like, a doctor that's, like, a rotting infected, and nothing happens with it, like, you don't fight it. But in this one, we do go into an American doll store. I don't know what they're called. Did I say American Apparel? I don't know. American doll store, and you just see the infected wake up, because it sensed them. You know, they're making a lot of noise, they're screaming, they're cheering, the arcade in general is making a lot of noise, so it wakes up. And then after the arcade, I think they took pictures. Oh my god, I missed that sequence. I really like that sequence because in the game, you know, you get to pick, like, what poses they do. So then I guess in the show, they just had a set sort of, like, choices that they made. So I thought that was, like, really cute to just see. And then this time they actually get the pictures. In the game, like, it runs out of, like, printer paper, so there's no way to get the pictures. And even though, like, the ink is kind of running out, you know, you could still see the pictures. So I thought that was nice that they got to keep it, and I think we'll see those pictures later on, either in the show or in season 2. We'll see. Riley and the joke book. Oh my god. So my favorite thing was to just do, like, put the whole joke book until they got bored of it in the show. And in this one, they kind of have a little twist where Riley was staying in the mall, and then she found the joke books. So then they're doing the joke books, and then Ellie sees these grenades that Riley made, and she's like, what the hell? Like, what the hell is this? Like, what are you gonna, like, you know, are you gonna bomb Fedra and I'm gonna be there? And Riley's like, I would never let them do that. But it's just like, but they wouldn't listen to you. Like, you're a newbie. Like, why would they listen to you? And so, you know what? Ellie had every right to say that, because it's, like, true. Like, they're not really gonna listen to Riley, even though Riley is so naive to think that they would listen to her, you know? They're literally two sides of, like, a coin, you know? Riley's with the Fireflies now, and Ellie's still gonna be with Fedra. And, you know, if they ended up living, then they probably would have, you know, been their feud, you know. So I thought that was really, like, I liked it. I liked that whole sequence, because it's like, well, you're part of them now and I'm here. Like, what can be done, you know? Like, we're gonna be part of, like, two sides of, like, a different factions and stuff. It's just like, it was a good scene where they're, like, arguing about that. And then, you know, Ellie leaves, but then, you know, she decides in the end, she's like, oh, I can't leave Riley. Like, you know, Riley's my friend. And then she hears screaming, and, like, I was shocked too. I was like, oh my god, is the infected already there? Like, it was a good, like, fake out. And then we see that Riley's in the Halloween store. And in the Halloween store, in the game, that's actually just because they were supposed to go somewhere else in the mall, but the Halloween store was just a little detour. But I like that they instead made it a fun little piece for Riley to be like, this, I knew you would like it, so I found it and I wanted to bring you here for the last thing. They kind of forgive each other, and then Riley's like, it's dancing time, so then she gets her Walkman that she stole from Ellie. And then the best thing was seeing the costume heads, or, you know, the things, you know, Ellie's wolf thing and then Riley's clown. Like, I thought it was so cute. Like, in the game you get to pick different heads for them to wear. Sometimes there's, like, a witch, and then there's also a chicken, and I don't know if there's any more, but those are the ones that I remember. And I like that they kept, like, the original, like, the wolf one, because Ellie is referred to as a wolf multiple times in the game. So I thought that was a really nice callback. 1 to that, and then 2 to the video game. But yeah, and then, you know, they're dancing, and then you can see they're having so much fun together. And then you see Ellie slowing down, and at this moment I was like, oh, this is the scene. And then, you know, Ellie's like, don't go. And then, you know, they take off the mask, and Ellie's like, don't go. And then they kiss, and it was just so cute. And then I really like that they, like, you know, she's like, sorry. And then Riley's like, for what? And then, you know, they start laughing because they're kids. Like, they're just two kids that realize that, like, hey, we both like each other. And then, you know, they're just so filled with joy that they start laughing. And I was like, oh my god, like, I cried. I'm gonna be honest, I cried a lot more than I thought I would, watching this episode. And so just seeing that, like, you know, just seeing two friends, you know, have that realization that they both like each other, and they both, you know, took that step, and then, you know, they're just both laughing and, you know, being so filled with joy. And then it was all stripped from them once the infected comes in. And You know, in the game, it's like a bunch of infected go after them, like a bunch of them, and you're running, and like a bunch of them are attacking you. And I can see why they just kept it to one, because that would be merely impossible for both of them to get out of. So, you know, they have that fight with the infected in the store, and I watched the episode like 3 times, but I didn't see when Ellie got bitten. I could see the moment when Riley got bitten, but I didn't see the moment when Ellie got bitten. Like, you know, in the DLC, they show the infected when Ellie's fighting off of it. Like, it's like this, and then you see it. This is the Ellie POV, and then this is the infected POV. The infected goes, like, he takes a munch, and then that's it. It's like, it's a really, like, blink and you miss in the game. But, like, I was, like, Eagle Hawkeye watching that scene, and I didn't see it. But not that that bothered me, but I just felt like we would have seen that moment. Even if it was like a blink and a miss. Maybe it was a blink and a miss and I missed it. But I missed it. Anyway, it doesn't bother me, but I'm like, I thought it would have been more clear to see it. That's just me. O'Reilly's like, or I don't think they say anything. I think they just look. And I kind of like that. Like, that happened before. In the previous episode when Ellie looks at Joel's stab wound. Like, I like when, like, they're both like, oh, no. And then, you know, we go back to the moment where Ellie instead doesn't decide to leave Joel. She decides to look for supplies, and then she's having trouble. And then we go back in time, and then we see Ellie's, like, fueled with anger, and she's, like, breaking everything because she knows they're both gonna die. They're both gonna die. They're both gonna turn into zombies. And she's filled with anger because she's never experienced loss before. And then you see Riley, who's just sitting calm. And she's just like, yep, like, she's accepted it. Like, you know, because Riley is filled with loss. You know, she said she lost her parents. She's lost a lot of people. But Ellie hasn't lost anyone or anything yet. And so she's mad. She's angry that this happened. And, you know, same when she finds out, like, that she has the bite. You know, she starts screaming and, like, crying. She's like, no, like, you know, and trying to wipe it off, like, thinking it's fake. And then you just see, like Riley just is just like, yep, I have it too. Like, you know, like, it's like one of those things where it's like I kind of like that contrast between the two girls, and how one is so fueled with anger and sadness and, like, disbelief, and the other is like, well, it was gonna happen, you know. And I really did like that. Like, that's genius writing. That even in the game, Riley's very calm, opposed to Ellie. That is in the game, she does destroy things with a bat, and so it's just, I don't know, like, going, like, even seeing the show, that I'm like, oh shit, like, that's a really good contrast between the girls. And then, you know, like, Ellie's like, well, what do we do now? And then Riley gives her speech about the options that they have, and God, that scene in the game, it hurts so bad, and it works so well in the live action. Like, you know, there's just, like, a sense of hope, you know, because we know what happens with Ellie, and then it's just, like, a sense of hope of, like, well, at least video game players, there's a sense of hope because the DLC comes after. Okay, what I was saying, there's, like, a sense of hope because, you know, Ellie's gonna try her best to not experience loss now. And so that's, like, that's her whole, like, arc, you know, she's not gonna want to experience any more loss. And so it's just a really good sequence. And I like that they kept the ambiguity on how, when Riley turns, like, we don't need to see that. We don't need to see it. We don't need to see Ellie possibly pulling the trigger, and then we don't need to see Marlene coming after her. We might see Marlene coming after her, but after the whole Riley turning and stuff. But yeah, and that was the episode where Ellie decides in the end to go to Joel, and then she stitches up his wound with thread and a needle, and it was so nasty. But I did like it that, like, you can tell that, like, Joel was so grateful that she was back. And that, you know, she instead of walking away and experiencing another loss, she was gonna fight to keep him alive. And I really liked it. Oh, I really liked this episode. Looking back to it, I need to rewatch it again. I can't wait till the whole series is over and I can just binge through it. It's gonna hurt a lot, but I'm so excited to do that. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts on Left Behind. It was such a good episode. Oh my god, it was such a good episode. I'm, like, not over it. Like, wow. They went there for, like, all of it, and I'm so, I can't wait for the next one. Although I can wait because it's the David sequence, and if you play the video game, you know David, and David's not a good guy. But yeah, so, anyways, Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate it. Don't forget to leave your comments down below on your thoughts on the episode. Don't forget to like this video if you like this recap and review. And don't forget to hit subscribe. We have 2 more episodes after this, so I will be doing those, and then I'll do like a whole series recap on what I liked and what I didn't like, and you know, all that stuff. We'll do all that fun stuff once we get there. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate it, and I will see you guys all in the next video. So have a great day, night, whatever it is. Okay, bye.